Hello guys, I'm Ethan with Keep It Clean on Street. Today we're installing a VHS radio.
VHF radio.
VHF radio. So we can stay in contact at the mall with all my homies. So the reason we're installing this is because
it's not your show. It's not your show. You get your own show. Go.
But my homies!
Alright guys, how do we keep it dirty off-road? Yes, it is Keep It Dirty Off-Road, even though I do kind of want to keep it clean for a little bit.
Welcome to my channel.
Alright guys, in this video we're gonna go over installing a VHF radio in your truck. Now, in particular, we're installing the Yaosu FT8900R. We picked this one because it's a dual band radio. It can handle both VHF and UHF, so it gives us the ability to listen into multiple channels, while at the same time, it also gives us the ability to go into some of the repeater type channels in case of an emergency. Now, let's go over the parts list of what we got here, and then I'm going to go over some recommendations for you guys. So, we have our radio. You want to go with at least a 50 watt or more. This one right here is a 50 watt. We have our programming cable. Now, this is optional. You don't have to have this. We got this because we wanted to have the ability to actually program all the channels. We have our antenna bracket. Now, this is for all you guys that don't want to modify your truck to install a radio. You don't have to go with the expensive live solutions. You can, and I do recommend it because the higher the antenna, the better. But if you're on a budget, all you need is one of these brackets. And for the Raptor, they make a vehicle-specific bracket that fits right in front of the hood to install your antenna. We also got our cable. It's a 4-meter cable. Should be more than long enough. We may end up having to cut this one depending on the length. But again, we have our cable. And then finally, our antenna. Probably the hardest thing to pick is the antenna. We're going to put the links to all these products down below. We got our stuff at Ham Radio Outlet. I recommend those guys because they're very knowledgeable and also their prices are very reasonable. I've found that they're either at or below Amazon prices, so they're worth checking out. When it comes to picking your radio, you don't have to go with this one. This is a little bit higher end radio because it has a detachable face. You don't have to go with something like this. We went with it because we're going to get our ham radio license here eventually. We find online on how to do it. Let's go ahead and do an unboxing. Got our radio right there. We got our radio set up with our connectors, fairly standard. We got our microphone. You want to try to find one that has a digital keypad. There's a lot of cheap ones that don't, and the keypad really helps out a lot.
More homies to talk to.
We have our power cables, all of our extra fuses, our mount for the actual microphone, a couple sets of screws for the different mounting installation options, and our mounting bracket for the actual radio itself. Now this one's a little unique because it does have a detachable face. So because of that detachable face, it also comes with a little bracket for that detachable face so that you have options on where to mount this. And then 2 extension cables. One extension cable for a remote speaker, and then an extension cable right here for your actual detachable face. The reason why we got this radio is 1, because of the quality. Yaosu is a really good brand. But 2, it's because of this. This detachable face means that I can install this radio under the seat somewhere or in the console or anything like that, and then I can put this somewhere inside the cab that's a little bit more low profile. And it allows us to do a much smaller footprint. So I can put this off my Built Right Industries base and have it just stick out a little bit. I can hide it in my console somewhere. I can put it right by my instrument cluster. There's so many options that this little base is going to give us, and that's the reason why we picked it. You don't have to worry about running a separate cable for your microphone. It's going to be right there with the head unit. All right, guys, so with that, let's go ahead and get started and get her installed. Now, it's a good idea to test the radio before you actually install it, especially if you did the Mars modification yourself. Now, looking at the back of the radio, we have a couple connections here. We have our antenna connection on the left, and then on the right, we have our speaker connection, which is that little mini stereo connection. We also have our programming connection here, and that's if you bought the optional cable. At the front is our phase connection. That's where we're going to actually install our extension cable and connect the head unit up somewhere remotely. You can see both frequencies light up. We have individual control of the frequencies with the knob on top, individual volume control, and individual squelch. Squelch is our noise filter. That's what actually allows us to get rid of all that static. Next, we need to pick our install location. Now, you have a couple options here. In my last truck, I had the radio installed in the center armrest. I had it installed such that I can still use the tray that was in there and it was out of the way. The drawback to this was that sometimes the radio frequencies got knocked out. You can install it up at the top. That's also another good option. Using the Built Right Industries base, it gives you a lot of flexibility to do it up there. You just have to drill a hole at the top, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. For this install though, we're going to do it a little bit different and install it in the back under the rear seat using that little L-track base we built a couple weeks ago. So we're going to go ahead and put it in the back so that it's completely out of the way. It's also going to make it easier for us to get access to it should we have to make any changes or anything like that to it. And I'm just happier with it in the back of the seat.
I gotta say that's a pretty good place for it.
Alright guys, so like I said, I'm going to show you guys a low cost option. It's not going to cost you guys over $400 just to do a mounting solution for your antenna. So we ended up going with a 5/8 antenna. This is our recommendation from Ham Radio Outlet. It actually has a slightly different mount than most people are used to. It has what they call a VHF mount, which is a little bit different than the typical NMO mounts you normally see out there. And the reason for that is because my radio has the capability to do quad band, and down the road I want to have the ability to use a quad band antenna, and you have to have this type of connector for it. Now, as far as the mounting location, we are going to be using this plate. It usually costs about 25 to 30 bucks depending on where you get it, and it's going to be installed right here, and it's going to allow us to put the antenna right here in the front. Very low cost solution. Now, the only drawback to this is that, as you can see, there's not that much space in here. There's actually very little space in here for a cable to fit, so we ended up getting a different kind of cable for it as well. Now, you could do an NMO mount. Most NMO mounts are relatively flush install. We are doing slightly different mount, right? A VHF mount, and that doesn't actually fit under there because it'll actually touch the bottom of the paint. So what we got is one of these little mounts right here. Now, they call these lip mounts because they're normally designed to fit the lip of a trunk or something like that. It actually mounts in there and holds the antenna. We're going to use it to hold the antenna just like that to give us that hold we need off-road. Let's go ahead and install it. We're going to try this out, see how well this holds. And then we also got to see if it clears the hood too. I think later on, if we find that this doesn't work, we may end up doing a little bit differently without this piece and just use that and do a bolt all the way through.
Well, you don't need a radio.
Did you just say you don't need a radio?
No, don't know what you're talking about.
Sacrilege, man. That should be good. Ooh, that moves a little bit because we still have to tighten these. You want to install the mount and make sure that it clears the hood. We actually found out that the way this pivoting arm is configured, it actually did not work with our hood, and we actually had to reverse it just to get it to clear correctly. So again, make sure you're clearing everything before you do a final installation. Let's go ahead and install it back in. Now, why am I doing this, Christian?
Noise. No rubbing. Or scratches.
Yeah, it's going to scratch. So with this, it reduces the amount of scratches and stuff this thing makes on the fenders.
Not spongy.
Now finally, you want to go back in and get that nice and level, and then also tighten up everything. You're going to need to tighten up all of the fittings on here, otherwise you'll still get some movement on that bracket. And you also want to make sure that you ground the antenna. Now this is an important one. You do have to ground the antenna, otherwise you'll get interference problems, you'll have problems with range. We just use the standard cable. I wish we had the time to go get a nice braided grounding strap, but we couldn't, so we just used a piece of cable that we had laying around and grounded it to the frame. Now we gotta send the cable either through there or down through here somewhere. See it right there. See the grommets? One's for the hood release, the other one's for the cabling. If we could tap into that, that's another way to send it up. But we're gonna show you guys a way without having to do any drilling or anything crazy like that. Put the cable right through there. Just gotta find something to pull it through. And that's it. I have a cable basically coming through that side. See, there's that foam right there. Basically wanted to come through that top piece, come out through here, and we'll tuck it in. Keep it out of harm's way. Now to get it in here, we're gonna do a couple of things. So we're gonna take this off. Okay, now there's gonna be a shape because we basically got to run this to avoid that long cable right there. Run feed through here. So we're gonna do it on the outside.
Why do I have to avoid the long cable? For the viewers at home.
Because if you don't, you end up with interference. I'm going to show how we're going to clamp it into this thing. See? I'm just going to put it right back into that. And that kind of holds it into place. See? See how that holds it for us? Okay, let's go back here. You got to get in through there. So we're going to put this pull string through. We get it through right there. See how I'm building up a little ramp there at the front? That'll help it go on through stuff. A little tip here too. Put a little flag at the end, like that, so you can take the tape off afterwards. All right, Ethan, slowly pull it through.
On. I have it. I have it.
Okay, now that we got the cable through, we're gonna put this back together again.
I'm gonna keep that on the cable.
Again, where that Built Right Industries thing comes into play. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Put it underneath, but route it through the back. See that? Gonna route it through the back over here.
Now for hardwiring power, you do have a couple options. We decided to run the cable behind the rear seat and then run it along the passenger side. We did this on purpose because we wanted to keep the power as far away as possible from our antenna, because the antenna gets the most interference from the actual power to the radio. So again, we ran it through the back of the seats, zip tied it wherever we could, and ran it along the trim to hide it as much as possible.
I have to extend the cables because they're not going to be long enough. So, we got them. We're going to put this semi back together again. Now a quick trick with this, make sure you squeeze them back in before you put it back. Otherwise you're going to get a bunch of rattling noises that are just going to drive you nuts.
You gotta line that up. Can you get it?
I got it. All right, Ethan, start pulling.
Slowly?
Yep, go. Go ahead. Keep going until you see it.
Got it.
Right there.
Next, we need to remove all the trim panels to access the fuse box.
I'm gonna take it out. Pull this out. Take that off. This off. Okay.
So right here, you actually have a couple options on how you're going to wire this. Now, for all the options, we're going to use this as our ground. So this connection right here, it's a common ground. The fuse box uses, a lot of other components use it. You can use that. Your second option is to wire it to the fuse box. You're going to need an ADA circuit. Now, down here, it's all micro 2 circuits. So you're going to need a micro 2 ADA circuit. Not everybody keeps this in stock. I found that O'Reilly's does, and it's a good option to get them from there. But we had to special order them. Third option is the upfitter switches, the little switches above.
Oh.
One of those guys. These cables right here can be used for that. Now, they are kind of hidden, so you may have to fish them out if you haven't fished them out your first time, but you could wire the hot side to one of these. Your last option is to wire it to the actual battery itself. Now, most places recommend you wire directly to the battery because it's going to give you the most interference-free option, and you can definitely do that just like how we did the cable on the other side. Fish it through here, put it under this strip, run it through the actual fender and to the battery. Now, as far as what we're going to do is, last time we actually had ours wired to the upfitter switch. I think this time we're going to wire it to the fuse box, see how well it performs. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use an ADA circuit and wire it to the fuse box.
If you're going to wire using the upfitter switches, you may have to go fishing for the actual cables themselves. Here in this video, we'll show you where they are, and don't forget to bridge the connection in the engine bay to use the actual switch.
Do you see those little guys right there? Looks like it's just a terminated end. Those guys. Those are your upfitter cables. They're a bitch to get off. But that's what you're trying to go for. To make this an easier install, you're gonna cut. That'll make it easier to install right there.
Did you just fart?
Any steam come out?
Come on, Dad. I don't think it's steam. I think it's mist that came out.
On my leg!
Hey, at least it was warm.
Yes. You were complaining that you were cold. Gonna need your help. When you're using these ADA circuits, it's important to realize which one is the actual bypass fuse for the fuse you're tapping and which one's the actual fuse for the accessory you're connecting. So in this case, you can kind of tell by where the cable's coming out from. It's coming out from the back. That's where the accessory we're connecting is going to go. So that's where we're going to put our fuse. Now we're going to use a 15 amp fuse because that's what the radio is using. The radio has several fuses in the actual inline. They're all 15 amps, so that's what we're going to use, a 15 amp fuse, and put it on here, okay? Micro 2 ADA circuit and micro 2 fuses. If you do end up going with tapping it here, bear in mind, your local parts store is probably not going to have these in stock. For the most part, they don't. O'Reilly's did have the fuses and the ADA circuit for us. The ADA circuit, unfortunately, only went up to 10 amps, so you got to make sure that you get the micro 2 ADA circuit and the micro 2 fuses in a sorted box. You can get the right fuses you need for your radio. Depending on the power draw of your radio, you may need to go higher. I know 65 watts need a 20 amp, 100 watts need much more. Okay, now let's pick a fuse to use that's going to be on. According to the owner's manual, we have a couple options that are going to be switched with the key of the car. So in the past, I know I've used 36, which is 360 camera modules. And I think we're going to try 33, which is the radio. Make sure you check your own truck because year by year they do some slight variations. I know the 2020s have some differences in electronics that the 17s don't have. So we're going to try this out and see if 33 is switched with the key or not. And it's up to you. You can have it switched with the key or you can have it on at all times. It's up to you. You have definitely quite a bit of options here on what you can pick. 5, it's a 20 amp fuse.
Not anymore.
There we go. Come on. Oh, I hate how tight these things are.
That's what she said.
Push it on backwards.
My hands don't work because of the... There it is.
So
all right.
Hey, did you have
So again, remember the order. The bottom one is the bypass. The one in the back, the one that has the cable coming out of it, is for the new accessory you're connecting. it. Okay, let's give it a try. Ah, we picked an always on. That's okay. So as you guys saw, 33 is an always on. Even though it's labeled radio, it's always on because it's on right now. The truck's not on. It looks like it's not a good choice when you're doing it. Even though it says radio, it looks like radio is always on these things. I think the other one that you can use that I've used in the past is 36, which is the 360 cameras. I know for a fact those are only on with the switch. So if that's the way you want it set up, you could. We're going to keep it on 33 because I like the idea of being able to use this whenever I want. We've had many times where we get out of the truck and I still want to be able to hear the radio, so we're going to leave it on 33. We're just going to be careful and make sure we turn it on and off. All right, we're going to go ahead and put this back together and finish this up. Oh my God, this thing don't want to move when it's cold.
All the police are like, you could suck it, I'm not moving.
Exactly what they...
Did I hit you on the head?
Come on, Dad, stick it in.
That's what she said.
Now, because we got the remote head unit system, we need to figure out a place to where to put this head unit now. We got a radio in the back. We're going to do a low profile installation of the head unit up front. Now, as you can see, we've actually already picked a location and put it right here next to the radios. And I wanted to make sure that it was within hand's reach so I can do all the adjustments. As far as what we mounted it with, we used the cell phone mount. I had a cheap cell phone mount. I put a Mob Armor magnet on it, and it holds it really, really well. And this actually works out really good. But we did have a couple options on where we can put this. We could have actually put it right there if we wanted to. Right? With the right mount, we can put it right there. And actually hold on to this little lip area here where the CD player used to be. Another option we considered is putting it on our built right pace and having it sit right here, right? With the right arm or whatnot, we can have it sit right here and have it be right up front. Another cool option that we've considered is putting it in here. Yes. Where the sunglasses go. Could have done something like put it right in here. We could have cut this up and given it the extra space, and it would have been a perfect little spot for it. We even could have mounted it right here. The area behind here is hollow. I could have run all the cables through there. Yeah, tons and tons of options. Ultimately, we decided to put it here for various reasons. Most importantly, I don't like drilling holes in my dash. And second, I wanted everything to be within arm's reach so that it's easy to use. All right, let me go ahead and show you how we got this wired. Now we need to run this guy back. We should have ran these two together, but I wasn't thinking when we did it. All right. And I think we're gonna run it through here and have it come around the back of this. Pull it in and out.
In and out.
Okay, I see it. I got it.
See how it is?
Came out through the bottom. We don't even need to pull this thing down.
Did you see the Instagram post I sent you, Dad?
Which one?
Yoda. Bad lip reading.
Good. I need you to start pulling that through slowly.
Okay, on.
Slow.
I got stuck. Okay, just turn the cable a little bit.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's turned the cable a couple times.
Okay, right there, right there. It goes like that. Pops cover goes back on.
Like that.
That. It has a little hook for us.
You put it in like that.
See, the cable's nice and tucked away. So now we gotta zip tie it a few places over here.
That's so. I'm Johnny. I'm on the spot.
That hurts the fingers.
I got it.
Got it.
Give me a second.
Oh my god.
It had a chicken head with dog feet and a woman's face too. And he's hidden in the bushes for us. He ripped off his dad's face. He was saying something awful. In fact, we had to change the board. The floor. You see, he brought it.
All right.
Five,
Okay, Ethan, pull it back slowly. Slowly, please.
49 times.
Going. Going. Hi, Christian's back here.
And just a quick reminder, why don't you put it next to the big one?
Interference. We want to avoid it. Ethan, you got it pulled? Stop humming the song.
You done?
Right now, we're done with this part, but we're not done. No. Alright guys, so that's the main installation done of the unit, and overall I'm really happy with it. I like the idea of not having a radio up in here and having it in the back. We do need to get a remote speaker for it, so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to install a remote speaker on this thing and we should be all set. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way it performs, and this is a great little radio, and I'm going to show you why. So what makes this radio cool is the fact that I can monitor two frequencies at once. See, it goes from the left to the right side. Each side is monitored separately. Each side has its own volume control. Each side has its own squelch and its own menu. So it makes it really easy to monitor two frequencies and be able to talk on two frequencies too, which if you're doing a run, it's always great to have a frequency for the folks on the run and a frequency for the actual leads of the run. It actually makes it really great to have some private conversation, especially if a run's not going too well and you got a problem child you got to talk about. It's better than stopping to talk about that person. But also, it's also so that, you know, if you're hosting a run, it's a way to also be professional and hide those internal conversations about, you know, should we go left, should we do option B, option whatever. You don't want to have those with the rest of the run folks. So having a 2-channel radio is great, and this is a 4-channel radio, so we can actually monitor VHF, UHF, and later on, if we ever get our license, we'll be able to monitor high frequency radios. The reason people get them is so that you can talk on repeaters, because repeaters use one frequency to transmit and a second frequency to receive. And you can only use those if you have a license. So we're going to get our license, because if I'm ever stuck out there in the middle of nowhere and we have a major emergency, no cell reception, this radio right here using the repeater network is the only thing that's going to get us some help. So we're going to do that. All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. A lot of work here. We've freezed our asses off doing it. Hope it helps you guys out, and hope it gives you guys plenty of options. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.
This is for all the homies. You know, the people who want to go to the mall. So this is not for keep it dirty. This is for keep it clean. This is all we did.
Seriously?
Lime green.